Hi, and welcome to episode 16 of the Groomer Next Door. I'm your co-host, Chris Green. Sitting next to me, as always, is Sarah.
Hello.
And we are lucky to actually have one of our superheroes locally here in town in Rolla. He is a K-9 unit officer for the Rolla Police Department. His name is Steve Gray. And I'm going to just pass this over to you and have at it.
All right, I don't know about superhero, but we'll do what we can for it. But my name's Steve Gray. I'm an officer of the Rolla Police Department. I'm attached to the Street Crimes Unit, and I'm a K-9 handler. Basically, I've been a police officer since 2009. Before that, I was a paramedic. I decided to kind of change things up and go into law enforcement. It was actually something I've always wanted to do, and I just decided to do it at that point. And actually, my parents had owned shepherds before, and I had a German Shepherd when I was a kid, and I've always been intrigued by them, and I thought that I always would like to be a K-9 handler. And in my eyes, a K-9 officer is actually kind of an elite status because it takes a lot to do that. So that was kind of something that spurred me to be a K-9 handler. So.
Okay. Now, obviously, you saw a lot being a paramedic.
Yep.
That probably transitioned well to become a police officer when you actually are now the first responder instead of the one that comes in
Right.
after you're cleared of scene. So what was the difference for you? What actually made it difficult, easy? Was there something that actually made it transfer easier, harder?
Not really. I mean, it was pretty easy for me. I mean, because you know a lot of the guys work in the police department. You've been on emergency calls before, so you're familiar with how that stress affects you and how you need to react to it. Obviously, there's different types of scenarios you deal with in law enforcement than you do in medical situations, but the transition itself wasn't very difficult. It was just different types of calls you got to handle. Make sure you keep your stress controlled so you take care of business. So.
Well, that's great. How much of your controlling of your emotions does it lead to your partner?
You have to be careful. Your dog feeds off of you. When you first get into K-9, you don't really realize it, how your dog feeds off of you and looks up to you. Because to your dog, you're the boss, or I don't want to say master, but you're the pack leader. Mm-hmm. And they look to you as a pack leader. And if you're coward and scared, something's not right. But if you show a strong or dominant position, your dog feels the same thing. And when he works, you want your dog to have fun when they work. So if you're having fun, your dog's having fun. Same thing, if you don't want your dog to think that they're being punished. There's situations, just an example, my human partner, when he handled his dog, just an example, he was searching a car, and he accidentally fell over a guardrail, and when he did that, he had to hold a leash and it popped the chain on the dog. The dog thinks it's getting corrected. Now the dog goes from searching a car to doing obedience, and it doesn't work out so well for him. So you got to be very careful. And that was an accident, but I mean, your emotions and the way you act and behave does affect the dog directly. So.
How much training does it take to become from just an officer with your squad car to an officer having to control a K-9 unit and their safety and your safety combined? What's the different training techniques that you had to go from?
Well, I've been doing it for a little over 2 years now, and we're still training. It's never ending. It's always moving, changing. Everybody's got different philosophies on how to handle a dog and how to approach those situations. So if I said example A is the only way to do it, I'd be lying to you, because there's master trainers out there who have opinions on how things should be and how they should be done. But what we do is we go with different people, we train with them, we take what works for us and with our dog, and that's what we do to make ourselves better, make our dog better as a team.
Great.
All right. Well, you want to jump into the questions?
Okay. Let's see. Are all K-9 units German Shepherds, or are there other breeds?
There are other breeds. The two common type are obviously German Shepherd and a Belgian Malinois. You'll get Dutch Shepherds as well. They're really good dogs. And even now we're starting to see, and one of our dogs is a Shepherd Malinois mix. And we really like Shepherds because they're very calm and they're good dogs. But we like Malinois too because they're high energy. And when they mix those two together, they seem to have good results. So.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, obviously, this was off the list of questions. So you joined 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you always joined the police department to actually be a K-9?
No, I mean, it's got law enforcement being law enforcement. And when the opportunity to become a canine officer presented itself, I was excited to go ahead and try and apply for that position and ultimately get it. So.
What's your partner's name?
My partner's name is Rocco.
And how old is he?
Rocco is 3.
Wow, that's kind of young.
Pretty young. They just barely stopped growing.
Yeah. Well, I know we covered it, so let's see. I'm going down our list.
Well, I got one.
Oh, go for it. Yeah.
Are all canine units male?
They're not. We actually, our last dog we had before Chaos, we had her for a few weeks, but she was a female. Great dog, very good at what she did. Unfortunately, she just didn't make it as a police dog, and we had to take her back and get another dog. But they do have male and female. You know, which one's better or worse? I can't really tell you that because I don't know that there is a situation like that. I mean, it's how the dog fits with you and how the dog works. So.
Okay.
Understandable. Now, have you worked with a female dog before?
I have not. Rocco is my first
He's
dog.
your first.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, is there a specific place where you go to a breeder to try to find that perfect canine unit?
Yeah, we have a master trainer that we trust. Like Montgomery, he's a really good trainer. He's trained a ton of dogs. The reputation of the kennel he's from is really good. So basically, like with our last dog that we purchased through him, which was Chaos, we told him what we were looking for. You know, Officer Corporal Campbell was looking for a dog that was friendly with his family, but can also do patrol work. And so he goes through tons of dogs, and he finds the dog with the right temperament to do the job and still be a member of your family.
So it's actually a pretty long process, it seems like,
Yeah,
to
they
find that
go-
one that you need.
Yeah, and he's the one that does it. I mean, you know, we go up there, obviously we work with the dog, and most times it works out pretty good. We bond with them, but, you know, they can go through 100 dogs and only find 5 that, you know, make the grade, and one of those 5 may be a fit for your department. So it just depends on what you look for and what your department's looking for.
Oh, wow.
That is something I never even thought of. Without getting into too many specifics, because we don't want the wrong people to hear the information, what kind of training do you have to go through to become a canine unit?
There's no specific training as a handler that you have to have that's court or state mandated. The Supreme Court just says that you have to have some type of reputable certification that you're, you know, certified in narcotics or patrol work or utility work. And obviously a lot of it has to do with money. I mean, if you don't have a lot of money in your department, you can't go out and spend a lot of money on training.
Right.
So you kind of try to get free training when you can. And there's a lot of groups in the state of Missouri that we're friends with, and we will go train with them when we can, and they'll come train with us. But training is an ongoing thing. There is no set time. I mean, we do as much as we can, as often as we can.
Oh, wow. That's just awesome. I didn't know it took that much training. Most people with their domestic dogs, they go and get them trained for a year and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they recommend, you know, 3 months just for a handler to meet the dog and train the dog, and, you know, take a green dog and make it to a dog that you can put on the road. Before Rocco, I had Rocco, another handler had him, so he's already knows narcotics, and he has good idea of search pattern, that kind of stuff. Well, then I had to step in, and it took a year before me and Rocco really melded as a team, and we were able to go out there and confidently, you know, search cars, search buildings, that kind of stuff to find what we're looking for.
Well, that's really nice to know, since it's not, oh, we're just going to go out, I've never seen this dog before, but we're going to go and we're going to try to protect the U.S. or the county, or,
Yeah.
you know, the citizens. It's nice that the department takes so much time into investing into the citizens. You know,
Right.
people that they don't know this. I didn't know this.
I didn't know this. Now here's a weird one off the subject questions. Does any of the dogs ever get car sick? We see it at work every so often. Dogs come in and they get car sick. Have you ever seen this? Heard of this?
Our dogs don't get car sick.
Good.
So if they did, that would be a problem, but they don't get car sick now.
Okay, I was just wondering, as it does happen, we'll get a dog in every so often, and I guess they were car sick.
About what age does a pup start its training on, not just the sit, stay, here, come, but the actual intense training? What age is typically about a good age for that? Does the trainer tell you, or do you really know?
I can't tell you 100% off the top of my head. Like I said, each master trainer has their own opinion on when a dog can be trained, when it can't be trained. In law enforcement, you'll find that what worked 20 years ago doesn't work today. And it's the same thing with canines. 20 years ago, it was a totally different ballgame than we're seeing today. You know, people get different ideas. You train, you test things, you see what works best. But we just had a master trainer from Slovakia had come and visit us back in December, and she had a 6-month-old pup that she was already doing bite work with.
Wow.
So I mean, that's a very young dog,
Yeah.
and she is letting the dog bite her. And you can't punish these dogs because you don't want them to be fearful or shy away from biting people. If their job is to go out and apprehend bad guys, they need to be able to do it without fear. And she didn't have a sleeve on or nothing. He was biting her flesh. I mean, she had marks on her where a dog was punching her skin, and she had to let him do it. Obviously she does as much as she can, but they teach the dog to out and that kind of stuff, so that way when they get too far, that they give the command, the dog will stop. So
I get bit every once in a while, and it hurts. I'm not going to do that for.
yeah,
No, I'm not doing it. I'm sorry.
no.
Well, I do that with puppies. When I get a puppy in, it's first time grooming, and it's just gnawing away. Well, you gotta let it know that I'm not gonna stop doing what I'm doing. If the puppy's still biting, I'm not
Right.
stopping it.
Yeah.
I gotta continue on working. It's another training part.
But
so.
just and something else to be realized. Now there are other people out there who won't train a dog till they're 2 years old. They'll wait till they mature a little bit before they start really getting to work at it. So like I said, there's always different opinions and what's right and what's wrong, and I can't tell you one way or the other. But
Okay.
like I said, this, where she was from, it's not a piece of paper that certifies a dog. It's the trainer going out and competing with these dogs. Winning competitions is how they become master trainers. So she's got experience behind her belt, and this is what she's been doing. And so I wouldn't question her. I mean, she knows what works for her. And then like I said, there's other trainers who will wait till dog's 2 years old before they really get into it, and they're having the same level of success there too. So it just depends on the dog, I think, too, and that kind of stuff. So
That's great.
Plus, I wouldn't mess with a woman that lets a dog bite her. I'm
No.
sorry.
Yeah,
That's one
that's
tough
pretty hard.
woman. I'm gonna let that one slide. I guess that answers that one question I have of what age is the dog ready for training. We pretty much just covered that one. So, what does the training, or where does the training take place?
Well, from what I know and what I've talking to these master trainers, a lot of they start in Europe. These guys are getting these dogs ready to be viewed by our master trainers that fly over there looking for a dog, and they're looking for certain qualities in a dog. And when they find that, they'll purchase that dog, bring it back, and as soon as that dog gets back, it gets acclimated from its flight, they're training
Wow.
from day one. They're not waiting.
So wherever the trainer
So-
is, that's the trainer probably has a set field.
Yeah,
where
they
they
actually do that. Like Mike McHenry, he had, they got a facility. He's got, like he does narcotic stuff. He's got a wall for that. He's got an area for bite work. He's got a trailer for searching lockers and all that stuff. And I mean, there's quite a lot of work that goes into getting a dog ready just to see if it'll be good enough to be in law enforcement. They may put all this training into a dog and find out when it goes to work it's not a police dog. It needs to go somewhere else. So.
I again say superhero. They may not be wearing tights. They may not be
The
wearing a
dogs
cape.
should definitely superheroes. We're not. We're just helping them get by. So.
I don't know.
Either
Anybody who
way.
takes a bullet, somebody shooting at you, that's more than I have in me. I'm gonna go with that. Superhero.
Are there different types of canine units? Do you have just drug sniffing? Do you have bomb sniffing? What all does that include?
Yep, those are 2 dogs. There's narcotics detection dog. There's a bomb detection dog, which usually you'll see that in big cities or like the military will have that. A lot of law enforcement will see patrol dog, which is a dog that'll do narcotic work and they'll do bite work. And then there's utility dogs, which they'll do narcotics and handler protection. Those are the main type that I'm familiar with.
Okay.
Obviously, you got search and rescue. You'd see in fire departments or tracking type dogs that specialize just in those areas. So.
I'll tell you, if you have seen military canine units, they are absolutely remarkable. Not taking anything away from the police department. I mean, it's the same level you guys have. It is just remarkable. Is every dog that is trained to become an officer universal to go to any partner, or does the dog have to be fitted with its partner?
Yes and no. Everybody says that I've got an alpha dog because he's tough. I'm gonna tell you something. You don't know what an alpha dog looks like until you meet one, and when you meet him, you'll be scared of him because he's not gonna back down from you. He'll bite you every day. He'll fight you every day. So you don't want someone like me that's a new handler to have that type of dog. You want someone who's been in the field for a long time, that works in a dangerous area. That's the kind of dog you want there, like a Gary, Indiana, or Detroit, Michigan. That's where you want these hardcore dogs that are going to fight every day. My dog is not a dog that's going to fight every day. He just does narcotics.
Now,
So
when you said Indiana, I'm just thinking not possible. I mean, Los Angeles, I can see it.
yeah, maybe Los Angeles too.
Especially from where we grew up, I can definitely see it. But Indiana, I just don't see
seems
it.
like more canine units than regular units out in California.
Yeah, helicopters and canine. It's the two things you see the most.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, does your partner come home with you? Does he stay in a kennel at the office?
No, he does come home with me every day. He doesn't come in the house. He stays outside, or I'll bring him in the garage. He just sheds too much, so my wife isn't too interested in the shedding part. But no, he's a very friendly dog. He's good with my kids. He's good with my neighbors. My neighbors have animals. I mean, he's a good dog, very friendly, very social.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they definitely come home with us. So
Okay, so when typical people see it on TV, the canine unit's going crazy, barking and lunging and going nuts. That's not how they always are.
no, that's their job. I mean, you go by my patrol car and he's in there, he's gonna let you know to stay away from it. It's his car. You don't belong there. He'll let you know. That's same thing in my office. If he doesn't know you, I mean, there's been several times where I've had to grab him before when someone comes in that he doesn't know, because that's his area. If he don't know you, he's just gonna protect his area. Backyard, same thing. If you're a stranger, he's not gonna let you back there.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, can they be vicious and nasty and strong? Yeah, I mean, they're police officers and they're supposed to intimidate the bad guys. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, if we're friends and we're having a conversation, he's the same way. He's just gonna have a conversation with you. He's gonna play with you, let you pet him, that kind of stuff.
That's great.
I'm just thinking to myself, the whole thing, I'm picturing it in my head, and of course in my head it's a comic strip at all times, so I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine, obviously you have to turn this off at the end of the day, but in my mindset, I'm thinking a dog, they're smart, but can you really turn it off? And they can, and
Oh yeah, they know.
it catches me so off guard.
Well, you say that, but I can tell there's an attitude change in my dog when he leaves my backyard and he gets in my patrol car. I mean, you can see it. He knows he's going to work, and he loves going to work. He gets mad at me if I leave and I don't take him.
That's like our we just rescued a Chihuahua off was left on the street and acts just the same way. Ironic. Even barks at people if they get near the car. Maybe it could be a police officer at some point. Who knows?
Little chihuahua.
Little Chihuahua. I mean,
get you.
the badge will weigh its whole body down, but it's okay. That's pretty much what I said. Comic book in the brain.
Now, as you have your civilian clothes, you have your work clothes. Does your partner, does Rocco have like a specific collar and leash and or chain for when he goes to work versus when he's at home?
He does have different collars and different leashes. Depends what we're doing. I don't really change them out too often. The big thing would be like if we're going from narcotic work to tracking work, he'd have a harness on and he'd have a longer lead to do that type of work. But for him, since he's mostly just narcotics, we just say the same thing. The big thing is, like I said, he knows when he goes to work, that's what he's doing.
Okay.
So.
All right. I'm gonna skip the obvious of is a bond between you and the canine strong. That's kind of a given.
Yeah.
We've already covered that one. Okay, we covered that one. I'm trying to go down my list. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm enjoying this more. So sorry, folks at home. I'm sitting here enjoying myself. Let's see. Here's the one that kind of references and falls into place. Does your canine, Rocco, does he get days off?
He does get days off. Not like me and you would, but, like weekends, we don't work weekends, obviously. And, unless I get called out or I'm working special detail. Any day that I'm off, he's off. Nobody else handles my dog. He's strictly my dog, and that's it. So, and honestly, I don't know that he would be able to work with anybody else because we work as a team, and he looks for certain cues from me as to where to search and how to search and that kind of stuff. So, giving him to somebody else, he would, although I know he could do his job, it just wouldn't be as effective.
It's almost like there's a miscommunication on the human side
Yeah.
on what Rocco's going to want to do and how he wants to do it.
Right.
And the human's like, okay, what are you doing?
Yeah. Where are you going?
I can see that. That's pretty cool.
Now, because you would know this, what would his normal day off be like? What would he do?
He barks at the neighbors' dogs when they come out. They run the fence line a little bit. Hangs out my deck. We'll play catch sometimes. We do obedience every day because you have to do obedience every day. And he knows when we're doing obedience. He pretty much is a step ahead of me because he knows what we do next. But that's, I mean, he just hangs out and play. I mean, he's a dog like anybody else's dog. He's a
Sunbathes,
so, yeah.
runs around.
Oh yeah, if sun's out, he's laying in the sun, and
Does he
That,
chase
that
his
makes
tail?
two of us, actually.
he doesn't do that.
He doesn't chase tail.
Where's the tail? Where's the tail? All right, go on.
Let's see. What do you feed him? What kind of food does
We
it
actually
take?
get food donated to us by Rolla Cannon, which we're extremely grateful for. And I actually have two different types depending on his weight. I'll do either just a German Shepherd, which is a high protein diet for him, or I'll do like a health or weight management, just depending on where he is weight wise. And kind of go from there. But it's mostly because they're doing a lot of work, like in summertime, we're out doing a lot of stuff. You want a high protein diet because it gives him a lot of energy because he only gets fed once a day. He doesn't eat 3 meals a day like we do. And we only feed him at night because we want a little bit of hunger in him in the morning when he goes to work. That way, it kind of helps with that prey drive to help him search.
Now, does he ever get table scraps?
He does not.
Okay.
Nope, he doesn't get any human food.
We
That's
really
good.
need to do that with our dogs.
Yeah, it's important not to give table scraps.
And
What
there's the other
is-
thing too is, just an example of it, if I'm searching a semi, these guys live in their semi, they have their food in their
Right.
semi. I don't need him looking for their food, I need him searching, like I need him to search, so, that's one less thing that he's gonna be attracted to. So if he's not getting table scraps, he doesn't know what table scraps are, he's not gonna look for the human food, he's just looking for the odors that I tell him to look for.
Our dogs will not make it then. They smell any kind of food and they're going to be like, I
We
see
know they're
food.
not supposed to have food, human food, because it's not healthy for them.
But they take it anyways.
Yeah, and it's a thing. Odors are strong, and they're always gonna be interested in it because that's, it's gonna hit those senses. But at the end of the day, I need to know that my dog is not gonna be persuaded or prevented from doing his job by that. So that's one reason why I don't feed. Besides the obvious thing, where it's just not good for him.
I would have never thought about it. Honestly, this is something I would have never thought
that was a
about.
question kind of off the
Yeah,
subject.
I'm just going right now. I'm actually flying by the seat of my pants on that one. Now, I think I already have the answer, but this is a good question anyway. Who grooms Rocco?
I groom Rocco. I don't
Lucky
take him.
you.
I don't take him to a groomer per se. One, I just can't. It's something I can't afford to do. It's, it can get expensive. Especially a big dog like that. He's got a lot of hair, but we'll take him up here. We'll give him a bath, and I'll brush him out, that kind of stuff. And he's due for his winter coat to get work done because he's not real thick like he was last year. But we try to brush him out once a week, and it's a shepherd. He's got thick hair. So it takes a lot. It could take about a month to get all that fur off of him. So
Now, could you actually take him to a groomer?
I could, yeah, he'd be
Really?
fine with a groomer. I mean, like I told you earlier before we started this, when I went to training in Indiana, they had a groomer there, and she groomed him for me. And he did fine. He didn't have a problem getting groomed.
See, misconception. I always thought that the dog was dedicated to its partner, and that was it. Would not go to anybody. So.
Well, there are dogs that are like that. My dog is not like that. He's friendly. Unless you give him a reason not to be friendly, he's gonna be friendly with you. So
I think that should be every dog.
So I would take it like the groomer cannot be timid. The groomer cannot give any sign of, oh, here we go.
yeah, and he's not, and he doesn't put off things. He's more indifferent to you. He doesn't. He's not like like some dogs who get overexcited and want to jump on you. He's not like that. You may say hi to him, he may blow you off because he's just not interested. Or on the other hand, he may take interest in you too, and he may want you to pet him. It just kind of depends what kind of mood he is in and that kind of stuff. But like I said, I was with him when he was getting groomed, so it's easier that way. But he did fine. It wasn't like he was aggressive towards the groomer or anything like that.
Well, that's great.
All things I would have completely thought otherwise. So, do you have a question?
Yes. At what age is your partner eligible for retirement?
We don't have a specific age that he would be eligible for retirement. I would say that he'll probably work until he's not able to work anymore. Depending, shepherds are notorious for having hip problems. So if you start showing wear and tear in his hips, we'd probably stop. Because he's not a patrol dog, he will last longer. And I specifically, want a car as a patrol vehicle instead of an SUV because there's a height difference, and that wear and tear jumping in and out can over time affect their hips. So obviously, the lower the ground, the better, that type of thing. And I'm really aware of it because one, I don't want my dog to suffer any pain or anything like that, and two is I would like him to be my partners for as long as possible. So
Right, I would imagine you would not want to change dogs because you have to go through all the process of bonding.
It takes a long time. So.
Yeah, that bonding would be just horrendous.
And that's great to not do the SUV, to do the vehicle or the car that's lower to the ground, less wear and tear on the hips, because that's a pretty far jump for a dog.
Yeah.
When you're going from SUV down to the ground, and it's nice to see the compassion and caring for, the dog's lifetime.
And there are like Malinois. It's not an issue. They're not as big as a dog. They're a jumpy dog, and they're very So to them, it's not that big of a deal jumping out of a car. Their big problem, like I said, patrol dog is, you're biting, you're training, they're hitting people all the time as far as training goes, and that on its own will have wear and tear. That's more than getting it out of a car. So that's something else you look at, and it does take a toll on them. But I mean, it's like anything. You do something physical over time, you're gonna have some issues later. But we just try to take care of our dogs as best we can and keep them around as long as possible. So.
And that misconception, like in the TV show Cops, is just seeing dogs just lunging out and attacking. It's just such a misconception. I mean, they do it, but I mean, when
It's
you
their
watch,
job.
well, yeah, but when you watch it on the show Cops, this is why there's a lot of activists who are saying, like I had mentioned before we started, are so against canine units. It's not only that. I mean, you guys do so much. There's no abuse to animals, obviously. You guys are so dedicated to your partner that there's no way. So anybody out there who thinks that this is a bad idea, obviously, you can hear it. This gentleman who works with him every day, feeds him right, treats him right, you're probably better than 90% of pet owners.
I hope so.
I bet.
I mean, personally, you play with your dog, you brush your dog. I mean, that is just great things. What does a canine go or do in its golden years?
They're pets. They come home, they stay home. There's a lot of handlers out there that'll have 2 dogs. So he's got his work dog. He has his past work dog that's retired. They just, stay home. Just live in the house or live in the yard, however they want to do it. But they're part of the family. Just as much as any other person's pet is part of their family.
That's great.
So when they retire, that's it. I mean, they come home with you.
So Rocco retain you as
as long as I maintain to stay his handler until he retired, then I'll keep him.
Well, that would be great. I mean, that's amazing. See, I always thought that they would go out, wounded warrior or just back to wherever and then be adopted out. So that's actually quite nice.
That's awesome.
See, again, things that we don't know as just regular citizens. So it is quite nice.
Do the canines get retirement packages? Do they get anything such
No.
that I know they're
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, we get a retirement package. We take care. I mean, if they're not working, we're taking care of them. So obviously we're still going to buy, get the food. We're still going to do the vet. We're still going to take care of our dog. They're our partner. They've been with us for a long time. So I see my dog more than my kids.
yeah.
So I mean, I'm not going to let them. I'm going to take care of my dog. So.
And obviously, I mean, we know what it's like. We see other people's dogs all day, more than we see our own daughter. Seems like. So I understand. How does your kids do with Rocco?
Really well. I mean, my son loves him to death. Rocco's a big dog. He's 105 pounds. He's not small. My kid's 3 years old, so I gotta be careful because Rocco likes him. But if he rubs against me, it's not a big deal. But you rub against a little kid, and you gotta be careful. But I mean, he's not aggressive. He's very protective, and he just wants to play with them. So
That's great.
Do you have any more questions on your side?
When you're out in the field, Rocco's working, and you have a guy that's threatening you and your fellow officers, what is the scenario when you let Rocco go do his job and help protect other citizens, help protect fellow officers? What situation would cause for that?
Rocco will not be in that situation. He's not. He's a narcotic dog, but like a patrol dog, utility dog. Utility dog will be used for defense of the handler. So, like, say I had Rocco was a utility dog, and I got into a fight with somebody on the street. I could release him from my car. He would assist me in fighting this person to detain them. Now, like Chaos, he is a patrol dog, so that means that we can send him out and he can apprehend somebody on his own. Basically, your felons, anybody that's trying to resist by flight or fight. If somebody just stole some clothes from Walmart, we're not going to do that. But if they robbed the bank or they shot somebody, or like the get murder suspect. I mean, those are situations where we're gonna put a dog out there and let him do his thing.
Okay.
So.
And let me tell you, I even just lost. I was so listening that I just lost where I was gonna go with that.
Can you tell we're fans?
Yeah, pretty much. Like we had said to you before we started this, and we had posted this on Facebook that we were doing this episode. We're doing this because we're so interested in what you guys do. So.
And if we're this interested, there's going to be others this interested.
Yeah, I mean everybody should be interested. Everybody should want to at least do something for the police department. I remember what I was going to say. I know when you watch or listen to podcasts, you can't see the people who are here. Personally, I would not want to go toe to toe with you.
Right.
So he's a big guy. I'm a big guy height wise. He's a big guy and he's got muscle. So I wouldn't face your dog or chaos. So anybody who does, they're idiots.
Now, when Rocco goes out in the field and what warrants him to do his job, the suspicion of drugs being smuggled, or, I mean, do you let somebody who might have like one joint in their pocket have Rocco go sniff them, or is it something massive that you have Rocco deal with? Like
Every officer has their experiences and their training that they fall back on. Just an example, back in December, we got 45 pounds of high-grade marijuana off the interstate.
oh,
And
good Lord.
I know from doing all my traffic stops what it's like to stop somebody, a normal person just going from point A to point B. It's really simple, and I talk to people, just have a casual conversation about, I want people to be relaxed and comfortable with me when I talk. Even on a traffic stop, my goal is when you leave there, it's a good experience. And you can tell the difference between someone who's a good, decent person, like I said, going from A to B, and someone who is conducting criminal activity, because they're not going to be comfortable. It don't matter what you say to them. It don't matter how good you treat them. They know they're doing something wrong, and they're going to get caught. And so, just an example: if I ask, well, can I search your vehicle, and someone says no, and I know 99% of the time everybody else would say yes. Plus, you're showing me all these other indicators that something's not right here. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to deploy my canine partner. We're going to do a free air sniff of your vehicle. And if he tells me that he detects odor narcotics or controlled substance, it's going to change our conversation, the way I treat you, and we're going to take a look in your car. And a lot of times people will say, you know what, yeah, I got something in my car. Or they'll say no, and I'll deploy Rocco because they think they can beat the dog, which I can tell you right now, if you're beating a dog, it's because you're really, really good at what you're doing, because it's very difficult to do that. And chances are, if you got something there, he's going to tell me. So.
Now, if this is too much to ask, you can right away tell me. Is Rocco he's narcotics, is it for just drugs or is it prescription as well?
Actually, the four controlled substance that he's trained for is methamphetamine, heroin, marijuana, cocaine.
Okay.
Now each, he can detect ecstasy because it has methamphetamine in it. You don't want a dog that's going to alert to prescription narcotics, because it's not illegal to be in possession of prescription narcotics if you have a prescription for it. And most people at some point or another have prescription narcotics, so you don't want to put them on the car, because one, you don't want to alert to something that's legal. We can go different routes to get someone who's doing something illegal with prescription narcotics. So.
Well, you as you said earlier, you were a paramedic prior to this. You know how prescription drugs are ridiculously out of control.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
that's why I was just like, oh gosh. The first thing I think of is, case in point, nurse steals from the hospital, has a big bag of prescriptions. Which would he notice it? Things like that.
Well, if a nurse is getting prescription narcotics from the hospital, it's a problem, because
Well,
she's
yes.
getting in the pharmacy. But an example, a few weeks ago, we got called over to Assist County with a vehicle search, and it was obvious that there was something going on. And I put Rocco out. We did a free air sniff of the vehicle. He didn't alert, and that told me right there, well, it's prescription medications, because if it wasn't, he would alert to it. And that's what it was. The guy was selling Oxycontin that didn't belong to him, belonged to somebody else. But it helps us direct us into the right path.
I pretty much brought that up because I was reading on Facebook different things. I follow you guys all the time, so I read it. I just was kind of alluding around it because I didn't want to mention anything that was ongoing investigation or anything. All right. Well, we're at the 34.5-minute mark. We try to keep them kind of short. We don't want to take too much of your time. Is there anything else you want to tell us?
Just don't be scared of the dogs. They're here to help you, help protect the city. They're good dogs. Obviously you need to have a healthy respect for any dog, because you just don't know how they're going to react. We always ask you just keep distance. We don't have any problems with people petting our dogs in a setting that is secure and safe for everybody. So just if you see us, say hi, and if it's a situation where we think that would be safe for us to interact with the public, we'll do that. If not, we'll let you know, and maybe we'll do it another time. But just appreciate everybody's support for our police department and the K-9 unit here, and we're going to take care of you guys the best we can.
Well, we appreciate it. And make sure I go on record and say this. Anytime you guys need us for any kind of vehicle, we will make our podcast available to you, to the chief, to any officer in this building. Doesn't matter if it's part of Rolla, state, whatever you guys need, we're here for you.
And even if something happens, if your unit or your partner is just blowing coat like crazy, we'll be more than more than happy to help out if there's something you're too busy in your life, you got kids soccer or whatnot. I personally am more than happy to help with no charge.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we like to, like we said, we're those people we like to give to the community and not just say it. So, we really do appreciate your time.
Very much. Your time, your service, your energy, your effort.
Yeah,
your family's effort too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is a strain on your family too at times.
To stay busy.
And again, I do say superhero, and I don't say that lightly. You guys all are, and your families are as well. They have to endure a lot with you guys. So this is our way of saying thank you to you guys. You guys deserve all the recognition you get.
Definitely.
All right. Well, I think this comes to an end. I'm Chris Green. And I hope you have a pup-tastic week.
And I'm Sarah Green, making sure everybody knows life is short. Play with your pup.
Have a good one, everybody.